Okay, and then you have on liquidity. Liquidity means how liquid, okay, your asset is. Okay, so money, the degree to which an asset can be acquired or disposed without much danger of intervening loss in nominal value. Okay, liquidity is if you own something, okay, if you want to sell that thing, how easy it is to sell off your item. Okay, for example, if you have cash, cash is the most liquid asset lah. Okay, but if you have other type of asset, for example, gold or stocks, okay, or even house properties, okay. So certain properties or asset require longer time to be liquidated, okay, or to be sold. Okay, so money is the most liquid asset lah, okay, because you can instantly use your cash, okay, to get to exchange for things that you want to buy, okay, rather than you need to wait, okay, to find buyers to buy your car, for example, your land, your house, and whatnot. Okay, so the degree of liquidity here, so cash is the most liquid. The lowest liquid, the less liquid or illiquid will be something like, you know, antique furniture, commercial building, because this take time to find buyers. Okay, so this is just a simple graphical depiction of the degree of liquidity. Okay, and then we have what we call money supply. Okay, money in circulation. Okay, of course, chapter 11 deals with money and money supply. So how much money in the system? Okay, in the system means in the bank, okay, in the currency in circulation between, because every day, okay, millions or not maybe billions of money, okay, are transacted in the country or in the world, okay, whether you pay for services, for goods, okay, and then from banks, you withdraw the money from banks. So money are circulated. So money supply is how much money in the circulation. Okay, so there are two approach: transaction approach and liquidity approach. Okay, to measure money. Okay, the transaction approach. Okay, remember there are two approach: transaction and liquidity. Transaction measures money supply by looking at money as medium of exchange. Okay, the other approach or liquidity, okay, money as a temporary store of value. So there are two approach: transaction and liquidity. Okay, so earlier I mentioned about the definition of money supply. Okay, M1, M2. Okay, so this is based on transaction, okay, which is medium of exchange. So the word exchange is similar like barter lah. Okay, so if you want to buy something, okay, so you use your cash, okay, to get something in return. Okay, you go to the shop. Okay, so the most general or one in term of definition of money, okay, or category of money. Okay, when you define money as M1, okay, so M1 means it includes currency, okay, your ni lah, duit lah, mata wang, okay, checkable deposit, okay, meaning like checks, okay, travelers checks not issued by bank. So I think you can Google in internet, see what traveler checks is, okay. So of course this is not something very common everyone use, okay, but currency and checks, I think the most common one lah. Okay, you can Google in internet, see how a traveler check looks like, okay, and see what is the purpose. Okay, I am myself personally haven't used, okay, or haven't seen a traveler's check. Okay, so but these are the three okay, components under M1, okay, the general definition of money. So M1 includes currency, checks, traveler's checks. Okay, so currency means coins and paper. So the money in your wallet, okay, shilling, okay, or coins, not deposited in financial institution, meaning money in circulation lah. Okay, the bulk of currency in circulation actually does not circulate within. So this is in the US example. Okay, so currency, because just now we mentioned there are three components in M1: currency, check, and traveler's checks. So currency include shilling or coins and paper currency lah. Okay, And then, so you have what we call as transaction deposit. Okay, any deposit in a thrift institution that receive most of funds from savings. So I think this is like banks. Okay, most of the banks in any country. Okay, financial institution. Okay, so this is considered as thrift institution. Okay, Bank Simpanan Nasional, Bank Islam. Okay, RHB, Maybank. Okay, so that is so travelers checks. Okay, financial instrument purchased from a bank. Okay, and signed during purchase, they can be used as cash upon signature by the purchaser. So I think this is similar like a check. Okay, but the way you can use the traveler's check is slightly different than normal check. Okay, so as I mentioned, okay, Google this and see how a traveler check looks like. Okay, so and then you have another approach of liquidity. I mean, another definition of money supply, which is M2, which is, so M1 is the most liquid. Okay, M1 means money in circulate, cash, coins, and currency. The one that you hold in your wallet, in your handbag. Okay, that is M1. Okay, and then second definition or another category of money is M2, what we call as near monies. Okay, except they are almost money. Okay, and is very liquid also, but not as liquid as M1. Okay, but you can convert easily to cash. Okay, time deposits are as an example. Time deposit is, for example, like fixed deposit, or money that you put in bank. Okay, so the liquidity approach M2 is equal to M1 plus. Okay, so M2 is a more broader definition of money supply. Okay, M1 only includes just now, okay, currency, checks, and travelers checks. Okay, but M2 equal to the three components in M1 plus this other remaining two, savings and balances in mutual funds. So I think this is a bit technical terms. So for most students, you will not be able to visualize what this mutual funds, market mutual fund is. So, but at the end of the day, what you need to understand is the general idea of definitions under money. Okay, M1 is the most liquid. Okay, M2 is much broader. Okay, it includes M1 plus these other two. Okay, so saving deposits and depository institutions. So saving deposits, that money that you put in bank, okay, that you can withdraw anytime, okay, without kena bayar penalty or any charges. Okay, so that is deposits. Okay, the money that you put in bank is considered under M2. Okay, money market deposit account. So I think this is again another technical term. Okay, unfortunately, you need to just know what are the components. Okay, so I myself not into this financial system. I mean, those in the degree of banking, degree in finance. So this concept will be very common to them. Okay, but for economic student, I mean, depending on what is your the focus of the minor that you take in your degree. Okay, but I'm sure group T students, my students in group T, most of you are non-economic students. So most of these terms will be, you may only hear them this semester only. Okay, unless you decide to take another finance or banking paper in the future. Okay, but at the end of the day, just need to know certain components under M1, what are M2. Okay, and also include certificate of deposit. Okay, and so as I mentioned, okay, this topic has a lot of definitions. Okay, so no calculation, almost no calculation at all. Okay, and then just the definition of M1, definition of M2. Okay, and Federal Reserve, okay, as I mentioned, this is the term that they use for central bank in the US country. okay, in the United States. Okay, but because we are in Malaysia, so ours is Bank Negara Malaysia lah, BNM. Okay, but the most probably you will not be tested on the Federal Reserve lah. Okay, but maybe just general concept on Bank Negara Malaysia. Okay, so this is a simple idea or simple depiction of a bank balance sheet. Okay, as you know, balance sheet is like an account that shows your asset and liability. Okay, so you can basically the money that you put in bank, your money, okay, you put your money in bank, from the bank perspective, your money becomes the liability of the bank. Okay, because that is not their money. It's like you are lending the money to the bank. Bank makes use your money to generate income for the bank lah. Okay, but bank's money or bank asset is what you call as reserve. Okay, excess reserve or required reserve, or the loans. Okay, basically the loan that you make from bank, those are their assets. Okay, but deposits that you put in the bank, those are their liabilities. Okay, so it's the other way around. Okay, so their asset is the loan that people make. Okay, so if you go to bank to make a car loan, okay, hutang makna beli kereta, you want to buy a car or you want to buy a house or anything, or you want to make a personal personal loan. Okay, so the loan that the bank gives you will appear as asset in the bank balance sheet. Okay, and then the liability is the money that they receive from people as deposit lah. Okay, so when you have a saving account, so your saving account will appear as a liability in the bank balance sheet. Okay, so this is just some concept. So bank create money by lending. So as I mentioned, okay, their assets is the loan lah that they give out. Okay, so the loan that causes money creation. So if you put money in the bank, the money will not, but the bank does not use your money to give out loan. Okay, because bank makes money from the interest. Okay, or the kadar faedah or the charges. Okay, they give you 100 ringgit, but they will take some money, but they will charge an interest on top of that 100 ringgit. Okay, so that's how they make money. So the money that they get from the interest is the one that they use to pay for the salary of the workers, okay, and whatnot lah. Okay, so these are what we call excess reserve can be lent out by bank, which is what we call as loan. Okay, so here just now you have the excess reserve and also required reserve. Okay, so bank cannot okay, so what the money that the bank has, okay, under this excess reserve. So required reserve is the minimum reserve that a bank must keep. Okay, required reserve meaning this is required by the law, by the Central Bank of Malaysia. So it's like the minimum money that the bank need to keep in the bank. So that is what we call required reserve. Okay, so the excess of the so once you exceed the required reserve, you call it as excess reserve. Excess reserve can be used as loan lah, meaning they can give out the money to public, okay, to the customer as loan. Okay, so let's say banks, Maybank, okay, Maybank, their required reserve, let's say 1 billion, okay, let's say 1 billion ringgit, but the money that they have in the bank is, let's say, 10 billion. So meaning 10 billion is the money that they get from deposits, sorry, that the bank get, okay, as in the asset, but only 1 billion as is required under required reserve from the law or from the central bank. So that means they got 9 billion left, okay, to give out to public, okay, to the customer as loan. Okay, so loan is part of the excess reserve, okay, which they lend out to the public, okay, and they make money from the loans, which is a component what we call under excess reserve. Okay, so and this simple formula here, okay, money multiplier formula, 1 divide by reserve ratio. So of course there is no example here, okay. So let's see in the Arnold example. Okay, So here you have again, okay, different type of money, commodity monies, which is gold and silver. Okay, please go through these notes, okay, because it's quite simple to understand actually, because these are our day-to-day, okay, we use, I mean, something that we apply in our day-to-day life, but it's just what are the terms that economists use, okay, to define. For example, what is fiat money? Okay, so fiat money is, okay, money that has no intrinsic value. For example, if you have a 50 ringgit in your wallet, okay, that 50 ringgit has no money unless the government says that it got value lah. Okay, so for example, if you got an old let's say you got a paper money from, let's say, from early, I mean, let's say, if you recall, in Malaysia, we have this during the occupation of Japan, okay, and they use the banana leaf, duit daun pisang, okay, with the, so but now the money has no value lah, except maybe for collectors, okay, untuk bahan for collection, okay, collectors item. But in term of the money itself as a mode of payment, it has no value because the Bank Negara Malaysia or the central bank does not recognize the money to be used as a mode of as a money, legal money in Malaysia. So fiat money or token money are money that has no, so in terms of the paper itself, the money that you put in your wallet, okay, the paper money that you have basically has no value, okay, it's just a piece of paper. But the money that you but the value in the paper, okay, it has value because the government declared that the money has as a legal tender, meaning you can use that piece of paper to buy goods and services, okay. So that is what fiat money is lah, okay. So intrinsic value means that the paper is just a piece of paper, okay, a fancy or a high quality piece of paper, nothing more than that. Okay, even though you put, so let's say you want to print your own money. Okay, you take a piece of paper, you use your printer, you put and you print a value of, let's say, 100 ringgit. Okay, so but that value or that paper money is not guaranteed by the bank or not guaranteed by the government. So it's just a piece of paper. Okay, so the only money that you can use as a legal tender, the one that is issued directly from the central bank lah, the one that has serial number. That's why you have fake money or counterfeit money, duit tiruan or duit palsu, okay? Because but those money are not recognized by the central bank because not issued by the legal authority or the central bank. Okay. So and then here just now we mentioned M1, which is the okay, the money, I mean the paper money. Okay, and then the checks and the traveler's checks just now. And then, so M1, which is a more narrow definition because it only includes 3 items as the one that we discussed just now. Okay, the M1 just now, which is currency, check and traveler's checks. Okay, but M2 includes M1 plus, okay, these other 2 components. So that's why here under Arnold, M1 we call as narrow definition, meaning scope dia kecil lah. I mean a smaller scope, okay, because it only includes the 3 components, okay. But M2 includes M1 plus the other 2 components lah here, okay. M2 equals M1 plus these other 2. So that's why M2 is is what we call a broad definition because it includes M1 and other components which is not covered under M1. Okay. We also sometimes use another term which is M3. Okay. But the most common one is M1 and M2. Like M3 is much broader than M2. Okay. So so M1 is currency. Okay. So this is similar to what you saw in the other slides just now. Okay. So we just go through this very quickly. So you can go through the slide, just make sure you get the idea what M1 is, okay, what are the components of M2, Okay, so that when you see some questions from the past years, okay, that specify what is the definition of M1, M2, and okay, so you can refer to the notes directly. Okay, and then we have this apa tu concept of asset and liability in the bank balance sheet. Okay, so in the slide here you have the okay, and in the apa tu in the unknown slides, okay, you have use the narrow definition of money supply. M1 is equal to C plus D, currency plus demand deposit. Okay, so this is another another way to define money, M1. Okay, so and then as I mentioned just now, the firm assets are assets that they for example, okay, but liabilities is from the bank perspective, your deposit becomes the bank liability lah, okay, the deposits. Okay, so this is the bank liabilities. Okay, assets, some things that are owned directly by the bank, okay, not from deposit. Okay, holdings of government securities. Sometimes the government needs to borrow money from the bank. Okay, for example, now during COVID-19, okay, the government of Malaysia will issue bonds. Bonds ni is like I mean, when the government needs money from the bank, they will issue bonds. Bonds is like a certificate, okay, that specify what is the value of the loan and plus some interest that the government will pay to the bank. So that is bond lah. Okay, so net worth is here you have asset minus liability equivalent to net worth, meaning asset is of course plus, liability is hutang lah or negative. So when asset is more than liability, you have a positive net worth. Okay, so that is some reserve. This is deposit that Federal Reserve Bank that a bank has at the Federal Reserve plus cash on hand. Okay, reserve mean for example, you cannot use the money to lend out to the public. Okay, so that is a requirement from the central bank or Federal Reserve in the case of America. Okay, so the money that the bank that is the money that they put in the central bank plus some cash in on hand. Hand means it's not like the hand means the money is kept in the bank. Okay, so that is what cash on hand means. Okay, so this is similar to the slide just now from the other slide where you have the balance sheet. Liabilities is from deposit. Okay, asset is from loan. Okay, so loan and reserve is the reserve just now, which is money that the money that every bank need to keep. Okay, minimum money lah, which is the money is kept in the central bank, and also some in the as a cash in the bank itself. So this is only for emergency purpose. Okay, so you can see this simple balance sheet. Okay, asset and liability. In the asset component, you have reserve and loan. Okay, reserve is the money that they put in the central bank. Okay, loan is the money that they can lend out to the customers. Okay, for liabilities, okay, deposits from the customer. Okay, the money that you put in bank, so those are deposits which appear as a liability from the bank, and the remaining of this will become the net worth, because just now we mentioned net worth is asset minus liabilities. So if asset is 110, deposit is 100, so the rest will be what we call as net worth. Okay, so how do bank creates money? Okay, monetary base. Okay, so again, this is another concept. Okay, monetary base is coins plus bank deposit. Okay, MB equals to C plus R. So again, this is another definitions. Okay, so just go through this thing. Okay, reserve is bank deposit at central bank plus vault cash. Okay, or R equals to RR plus ER. Vault cash means Okay, if you watch any Hollywood movie, okay, every bank has a peti besi, okay, or gold. Okay, the money that they keep in the in a secure in a secure room. In every bank has its own vault. Okay, so when you watch a movie like Ocean's 11, or or any bank heist movie, okay, where they will try to open the bank vault, okay, to take the money from the bank lah. So that is what. So bank keep their money at the central bank just now. Okay, you recall. Okay, reserve money that the bank that need to put in Federal Reserve. Okay, Federal Reserve or central bank. Federal Reserve is the term for the US. Okay, but for Malaysia, we call it Central Bank or Bank Negara Malaysia, Central Bank of Malaysia, BNM. So deposit reserve are money that every bank need to keep some money in the central bank, plus money. So cash on hand means the money that the bank put in the vault. Okay, in the peti besi. In the bank itself. So that is what reserve means lah. Money in central bank plus money in the vault system. Okay, in the peti besi. Okay, so so here is again another concept which I'm not really sure whether you need to know everything. Okay, it depends on the type of question that you may see. Okay, but just be aware of what the term here in your that appear in your slide. Okay, for example, required reserve is reserve multiplied by demand deposit. So again, okay, most of you will not be able to visualize, okay, how the system works. Okay, so that is something that I myself do not prefer when we have so many things to cover in one semester, but that is how the syllabus is designed. Okay? But at the end of the day, what I expect from every one of you is at least to know what are the definitions of money, M1, M2. Okay, how does a bank balance sheet looks like? Okay, what is the asset? What is the bank liability? Of course, in the real world, that the bank account is more complex than this one. This is just a simple idea how a bank asset looks like. But in a real accounting world, okay, when you check a bank balance sheet, it is much more complex than these two items here. But this is just a general idea. Okay, but the breakdown of a bank balance sheet is more than this. Okay, but the general concept is this one lah. Okay, so so here the bank must keep at least 10%, okay, of required reserve, okay, as deposit in the vault, plus whatever money that they put in the central bank. Okay, so bank do not hold any excess reserve. So any ER will be load up. So ER means excess reserve. So if you recall from this from this slide just now, okay. So excess reserve mean so this is what it means. Okay, once the bank get money from the deposits, okay, so some portion of this 100 will go as a required reserve. So let's say here just now, bank must keep 10%. So 100 means $10. So not 10, not $10 lah. But assuming this is 100 ringgit or $100. So 10% reserve ratio means required reserve is $10. So this $10 must be kept either in the peti besi, in the vault, or in the central bank itself. So the remaining 90 what we call as excess reserve, which bank can lend out to the customers, okay, give loan. So that what this statement means. Bank do not hold any excess reserve. Means excess reserve must be loaned out. Okay, so this is what loan excess reserve equals to zero, because whatever excess money that the bank has must be given to loan to the customers. Okay, so that's why ER equals to zero here lah. ER equals to zero because whatever money after you deduct from the reserve, okay, the excess must be given as loan to the customers. Okay, so that is what this statement means. Okay, Okay, so and the rest is just another concept of money supply. Okay, cash plus deposit. Okay, C plus D. Okay, cash plus checkable deposit. Okay. Okay, so again, this is, I'm not going to go through this thing in much detail, because I think most of the question from chapter 11 will involve, most of them will be on definitions. Okay, not in terms of this calculation. Okay, but when we arrive at the, okay, so if you recall in this slide here, you have this money multiplier formula, 1 divided by reserve ratio. Okay, so if you look at this slide from Arnold here, okay, you have this money multiplier, which deposit can increase for every dollar increase in reserve. Okay, so the formula just now, 1 divided by reserve ratio. So in the Arnold slide here, you can see the money multiplier is 1 divided by reserve ratio, which is 10%. Okay, so assuming that the money that the loan give out as money that the bank give as loan is 500. So the money multiplier is 1 divided by 0.1 multiplied by 500. Okay, so you get 5,000. So this is what money multiplier formula is lah. Okay, so 1 divided by the reserve ratio multiplied by the demand deposits. Okay, or part of money, meaning the money that the bank receive. Okay, to give out as loan. Okay. So if the change in, so you can see here, the formula is in term of change, just like in your multiplier in the previous sector. Okay, you have the investment multiplier, if you recall. Okay, government multiplier, and also the tax multiplier. So the word multiplier must be measured in term of perubahan or changes. Okay, so here when the change is 5,000 from 10 to 15. Okay, so this is another example here. Okay, so if you look at these questions here, okay, from just a continuation from the one that we did from last Monday. Okay, no, I mean, yeah, we did the class in the at night. Okay, to discuss the all of these questions. Okay, so I think I haven't upload the video. Okay. So I think I have not uploaded the video yet. Okay, the one that we discussed on Sunday night. Okay, the one when I did not do the class on Monday. So okay, I will upload this video, the one that we discussed from last class. Okay, after this. Okay, and then so if you look at these questions, okay, what fiat money is. Okay, so we will discuss this answer next Monday. Okay, so I will let you study for the test. Okay, on Saturday. Okay, so inshallah I will take a look at the test 3 question, and give you some hints. Okay, what things that you need to focus. Okay, so this is the questions I think that is covered under chapter 11. Okay, what money function is, what is barter trade. Okay, so go through this. So I will put this video again in your OL. Okay, so coins in people pocket and purses are what? Okay, so does it include M1 but not M2? Okay, M1, M2, just now we know. Okay, what is coins or cash? Okay, does it refer to M1 or M1 and M2? Okay, so what does M2 is? Okay, or what does M1 is? Okay, so again, this is definition. Okay, so we know that M2 includes M1. Okay, so M1 is more narrow. Okay, M2 is much broad. Okay, whatever in M1 is also included in M2. Okay, so is it A or is it B? Okay, and then you have this what refers to M2. Again, this is also definitions. Okay, and what is demand deposit is. Okay, I think this you can get this demand deposit from the annual slides as well. Okay, there is concept on demand deposits here. Okay, or worst case scenario, you can just Google, okay, what demand deposit is. Okay, so we will discuss this on next Monday. Okay, so again, I think I will send this question to you on your WhatsApp. Okay, so that you can look at the earlier questions on chapter. So your test for test 3 will cover topic 8, 9, and 10. Okay, the macroeconomics chapter. Okay, 8, 9, and 10. And so if you look at any past year's question from the internet, okay, if you go to the library website and download, you can download past year's question from Principle of Economics. All of past year's questions from the library only covers the macroeconomic topic, okay, or topic 8 and above. Okay, it does not cover microeconomic topic. So if you want to prepare for test number 3, okay, you can always refer to any past year's questions and do this on your own. Okay, so you can see here. Okay, the question start is what is macroeconomic. Okay, so you can see most of the questions. I mean, all of the questions start from chapter 8. Okay, 8, 9, and until 14. Okay, so I think we have done some of the questions in our discussion before. Okay, but this question we have not discussed yet. Okay, so perhaps you can do this on your own. Okay, and discuss among your friends. Okay, what will be the answer? Okay, but the one that we did last Sunday on Sunday night. Okay, is questions on Nila. Okay, on the chapter 10. Okay, especially on the multiplier. Okay, so I will upload the video. Yeah, so we did this one. Okay, so for the earlier questions, okay, you can do on your own. Okay, so I will get back to you so on Saturday. So don't forget the exam. Okay, the test 3:30 to 5 if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so I think that's it for today. So you can do